Hey folks, today is Friday, September 9th, 2023. As usual, my name is Jake Baldino, here to talk about all the video game news that has been going on this week. I'm currently at home. I had to record from home today, so pardon the different visuals, but there's also construction going on nearby, so if you hear some of that, sorry, I'm going to try and edit some of it out, but never a dull moment, am I right? And never a dull moment in video games. It is a jam-packed week. I know I say that a lot, but this time there's a lot. So let's just jump in. Let's rip the Band-Aid off with the worst news of the week. Capcom's prices are going up. Yeah, apparently. So this comes directly from Capcom, the publisher boss himself. Right from the top of the Japanese food chain, the president himself, Haruhiro Sugimoto, said, and I quote, that he felt the price of new video games is too low. Breaking news, corporate guy wants to make more money, right? Well, this is his quote. Development costs are about 100 times higher than during the Famicom era, but software prices have not gone up that much. There is also a need to raise wages. So considering the fact that wages are rising in the industry as a whole, I think raising unit prices is a healthy option for business. So there you go. A lot of people are expecting this is signaling a move that Capcom games are going to make that jump from $60 to $70. You know, for some of the holdout franchises, now they're all going to cost a bunch. And what is definitely indicative of them trying to, get more revenue, get more profits from things is the fact that the new iPhone is going to be able to run like seemingly top shelf real ass video games. Capcom was part of that announcement, and it was just announced that if you're buying Resident Evil Village for your iPhone, like on the App Store, it's going to cost full price. It's going to be like a full price video game. So that's a pretty gutsy move because I think a lot of mobile gamers like the fact that they don't have to spend $60 on games. This version will also get you the playable Mac version, so there is that, but I thought it was interesting to point out. Also, speaking of Japanese game development, Hideki Kamiya is out at Platinum Games. I did not expect that. He is, of course, the iconic grumpy, bald sunglasses man, a legendary game developer, mind you, director of Resident Evil 2, Devil May Cry, Beautiful Joe. A lot of people really loved what he did with Okami. He's been at this for a long time, but I just looked it up. I didn't realize he's 52 years old. So is he retiring or is he moving on? We don't know, but I love that after the announcement came out, he tweeted a picture of his ripped pants. That is very Kamiya. Is he going to team up with some other former colleagues, start something new? There's a lot of rumors swirling around. I don't know for sure, but I'm excited to see what he cooks up next and hopefully builds up a good new team or something because I like his games and his team's games. Along with that, the hits just keep coming. If we're talking about people being out, Jim Ryan is out at PlayStation. Yeah. He is, of course, the CEO, the big boss of Sony Interactive. He's the PlayStation guy. Where you talk Phil Spencer with Xbox, it's Jim Ryan with PlayStation. He's always been a very corpo guy, never really came off very gamery to me, but it's worth noting that he's technically been president since 2019, but has been with Sony for almost like 30 years. So with this, he is officially retiring, stepping down in March of 2024, where another higher-up guy is stepping in, Hiroki Totoki, who is going to be the interim CEO. What does this really mean in the grand scheme of things? I don't know, but whether Hiroki stays as the interim CEO or they bring in somebody else, I'm curious to dive into what their whole methodology is behind a lot of this stuff, because as much as it's just the big corporate boss, it's the money guy at the end of the day, to at least know their frame of mind and their approach towards the business. Curious to see where things are going to go. Corporate mindset, corporate philosophy, stuff like that with PlayStation. Now, let's jump over to the rumor mill for a second, and let's talk about Grand Theft Auto 6. There's a new rumor swirling around from insiders on Twitter that have gotten some things right. They have predicted some certain things, saying that we're going to hear of a Grand Theft Auto 6 reveal in October, the end of October. This is from Chris Marks, who has apparently gotten things right for Payday 3, Dragon's Dogma, Fable during Summer Game Fest. But take this all with a grain of salt. It is only a rumor. It is not gospel. And their Twitter account, some people have pointed out, they are also very much often vaguely posting things and getting vague things right by just kind of saying, to quote somebody on Reddit, Ubisoft is announcing a game soon. Woo. Who knows? I really think Rockstar is hard to predict, hard to nail down at this point. I don't know what we're going to see. It could be forever until I feel like GTA6 just still feels like this weird unicorn. But either way, it's worth pointing out that Grand Theft Auto Online just hit 10 years. Isn't that insane? So I guess it is time for a new Grand Theft Auto. Along with that, there is a Far Cry 7 leak. This comes from Insider Gaming and Tom Henderson, who also has a track record for leaking certain things. And Far Cry 7 wasn't something on my radar or interesting me very much, but it sounds like they're really shaking up the formula and almost going for a Dead Rising style thing, where in this game, like this villainous group kidnaps your family and all the family members are scattered and you have 72 hours to try and save them all. Almost kind of like a death loop thing, but also like an actual real world timer thing where you're stressing like in the original Dead Rising. There's not too much more about it other than that, but at the very least, if, and this is a rumor, but if it is true, I like that Ubisoft is finally really rethinking the formula for Far Cry. I liked Far Cry 6 somewhat, but it seems like after that, they really needed to go back to the drawing board, and hopefully this rumor does turn out to be true. But I don't know. I do want to hear from you guys, though, what you think. What would you want from a Far Cry 7? Maybe at the end of the day, I want a simple first-person shooter, a guy in a Hawaiian shirt on a tropical island, but we're so far from that. It's a far cry from what I'm sorry, I won't do that. Now in some other bummer news, Epic, the massive corporation for Unreal Engine 5 and of course Fortnite, apparently spent too much money and now, citing slow Fortnite growth, have laid off 16% of their workforce. That's like going to be, after all said and done with their subsidiaries and everything, like almost 1,000 employees. They are going to have severance and stuff like that, but still, it seems like Epic maybe flew too close to the sun and now has to slash literal livelihoods just to keep their stuff going. It's absolutely terrible, so our hearts do go out to the people that lost their jobs, and I wonder what this means for Epic going forward. They clearly still have more money than God, but maybe they got a little cocky, maybe they got a little too much Fortnite in the brain for that, I don't know. I'm also not a corporate person, I can't even do math, but that's that. Hey, jumping over here real quick, in the city, or maybe you live out in the suburbs or in the middle of nowhere, water can always be an obstacle, and that's where today's sponsor, Vessi, comes in handy. If you've been living under a rock, these are the waterproof shoes that we've been recommending for years now. These puppies come in a variety of different styles, shapes, colors, but the biggest thing is that they're comfortable and they're 100% waterproof. No joke. The material keeps your feet dry while also keeping them cool in the summer and warm in the winter. If you live in New York or the tri-state area, you know that it's been raining like crazy the last week or so. We kind of had a little bit of a tropical storm. So whether you're stepping off a curb into a puddle or out of your home, it's gonna be there. So these shoes are great to keep by the door, especially their new drop. This is the Soho. It comes in a bunch of different colors, but if you're looking for something still waterproof, but also smart casual, they got you covered here. Really comfortable, a lot of features, including a synthetic leather look that also still manages to be totally waterproof. I'm gonna go out on a limb here and say this is like Vessi's fanciest pair of shoes yet, and it's really good. Whether you're interested in these or any other pair of Vessi's, it will unlock new things for you because you can go without fear worrying about water. It's actually a big deal. So if you want to check it out and it helps the show, grab your pair now by going to our link, vessi.com/gameranx, and use code gameranx for 15% off your order. Once again, that's vessi.com/gameranx. Use code gameranx, get a pair, and go jump in a big puddle or something. Have fun. And big thanks to Vessi for sponsoring these videos. And also, it's worth pointing out, you may have seen headlines that SAG-AFTRA, the Screen Actors Guild, did vote 98% in favor of authorizing a strike where video game voice actors and actors can go on strike against the video game companies. Now, this doesn't necessarily mean they are going to or they're going to stop working. This is just something that they can do if negotiations fall apart. But video game actors and stuff are pursuing very similar to all the other strikes going on, just getting a new fair contract, better pay, stuff like that. So again, this isn't really my department, this type of thing, but if you do want to read about that, I will link that in the description below. Got a very good breakdown of it, as well as everything else I talk about this week. All that stuff is down there. Jumping over to something different, it is preview season, and I got to play about 3 hours of Alan Wake 2 at a preview event. I paid my own way there. I'm under no obligation to like say it's good or anything, but it was one of the better previews I've had in a while. It is straight up survival horror, and it seems like it's gonna be the coolest Remedy game so far in terms of it really combining stuff they've learned from Alan Wake, Control, Quantum Break, and even some good noir vibes from the old days of Max Payne. So I got to play 2 very big sections, one as Saga and one as Alan Wake. So Saga is kind of like the normal person in this situation. She's an FBI agent, and it feels more like the original Alan Wake, where it's spooky, you're in a small woodsy town, you're fighting shadow monsters, you're solving mysteries, you're doing detective work. And then the Alan Wake section, where apparently it's going to be like a 50% divide between the two characters, the Alan Wake sections are just like insane sicko mode crazy stuff, with Remedy going all in on horror and gore and weird imagery and trippy stuff, and you manipulating the environment in real time and changing things. But thankfully both characters do have that survival horror feel to it. I'll be totally honest, it plays almost exactly like a Resident Evil 2, Resident Evil 3, Resident Evil 4 remake. Same type of ADS feel, weapon swapping, inventory, the whole 9 yards, but with a combination of that Alan Wake flashlight mechanic thing to wear down the shadows. But it's survival horror where it's tense because resources are limited, and I actually found the sections that I played to be really challenging. Now, it's worth noting that I didn't play the final version of the game, so there could still be technical issues, and I've only seen 3 hours, so I can't like say definitively it's gonna be awesome, but of what I got to check out, I found it to be very promising. Now, next up, Meta or Facebook or whatever announced a new Oculus Quest. I know it's not called Oculus anymore, but now we have the Quest 3. It's more powerful, it's rocking like fancy new Qualcomm chipsets, it's got AR, like mixed reality stuff on the front, higher resolution screen, a pretty sizable update and upgrade that you would kind of expect with this stuff, and it's gonna cost $500. Also, in terms of releases this week, Cyberpunk 2077 Phantom Liberty, the DLC expansion, it is very good. We put out a video on that, so if you're playing that or anything like it, let us know in the comments for research. We want to know what you guys are playing. But also, I've linked a trailer for a game called Paso Elsewhere. This dropped this week, and this is like a kind of spiritual successor to an early Max Payne game, but a little bit more horror and weirdness. And I am absolutely about it. It has been on my radar since it was announced a couple years back, and it just kind of dropped this week. I wish it didn't release during such a busy time, but reviews are positive, and I am definitely going to give myself some time to check this out on Steam. So yeah. Also, Netflix is doing a Devil May Cry anime with Adi Shankar, and we got a brief teaser for it, and I don't know what to expect yet. I can't judge it just on this alone. There are some Devil May Cry people involved with it, and Netflix does a lot of anime adaptations at this point. I think there's a lot. I almost think there's like too much at this point. There's like a new side Castlevania series, but I love Devil May Cry. I love Dante specifically, so I want to see where this goes. Also, Counter-Strike 2 is out. Yeah, that was announced a couple months back. It was leaked and then it was announced, and now you can play it. Good luck. I don't touch Counter-Strike games. It's like a totally different world to me. I'm sorry, but this is one specifically where I haven't really seen too much reaction yet. So if you jumped in and you're a diehard, let me know how you're feeling. Because like it kind of just dropped. Like it didn't make massive headlines or anything like that, but it is technically a really big deal. Counter-Strike is huge. Never underestimate the power of it. Also, the next Star Wars Jedi game is definitely a thing. We kind of already knew that, but now we've gotten it directly from the horse's mouth, or the Cal Kestis's mouth. Actor Cameron Monaghan, during an interview, pretty much said like, yep, they're working on it. This has kind of been set up as like a little bit of a trilogy thing, and I'm really curious to see where it goes, because leadership has changed at Respawn recently with Stig Asmussen out. But I'm really curious to see where they could go with this, and I'm also really curious to see like what Cal is canon, because in the new game you can change your hairstyles, get a weird mustache, long hair, wear whatever you want. So what is he going to look like in the next game? Which one are they rolling with? Because my Cal looked like a weird Luke Skywalker Dash Rendar Kyle Katarn mashup freak. Anyway, Star Wars, nothing but Star Wars. So let me know what you guys think in the comments about all the stories this week. There's so much to talk about. Like I said, Jim Ryan out at PlayStation, Grand Theft Auto 6 coming out eventually, Capcom raising prices, my first reactions to an early Alan Wake 2 preview. Let's talk about any of this stuff down in the comments. I definitely want to hear from you, and you will be in the comments as much as possible, of course, but if you want to yell at me directly, you can find me on Twitter and Instagram at Jake Baldino, and also my other YouTube channel, Jake Baldino, where I go a little bit more in-depth on Alan Wake. I'll link that if you want to check that out. But thank you guys for being here. We got to get back to work. A lot of games still in the works behind the scenes for before you buy review videos and stuff like that, so keep your eyes peeled. But we're here every Friday. We got your back. So if you like this video, you like getting caught up on the news with us real quick, clicking a like button helps. Thank you. But that's it. I'm Jake Baldino. Be safe. Have a good weekend. Pizza's on me.